purpose was never one thing, it was always all these many things and all that. So I said, no, let me do what I can, when I can, and when people ask me for help, I definitely, extend that helping hand, and be there for people. So that is something
Okay,
which I
okay.
always do.
And when you say this, right, when you're talking about this journey of being a mechanical engineer, two girls in the class, and you're one of the two, and then you move to California again, one of the first to do it. Looking back on all those journeys, what is it that motivated you, even though you didn't see people of your kind around? I'm saying gender wise around you. What is it that kept you going? What were you telling yourself, Deepti, at those points?
I mean, I think the interesting thing was I was always quite confident about myself. So I don't know what gave me that confidence, but it never phased me that there were no other women in the room, or there were no other people of my kind, in a place and so on. So that was something which was, and yeah, it is there. It happens, but then do what you can do actually. So yes, you may not always get what you want, but you can at least make a difference. Is what I mean, I went by actually. So yeah,
Yeah, because
like you said, I've always wanted to change the world, but yeah, I change it one brick at a time, one day at a time, 1 minute at a time. Yeah.
and I love that exercise your dad gave, asking you to go sit in the balcony doing nothing. In fact, today they say that itself is an art where you go and sit in the balcony and you just think nothing. Correct. So, when you have always been in the minority, and today when you enter boardrooms, women are in the minority, what is it that we need to understand, both men and women, to have a level playing field? Is it a dream or is it possible?
I think the biggest challenge that most of us face, whether it's men or women, is the whole ability to listen. Actually, I mean, and this is something which I feel strongly about. Listen to the small voices. Actually, so there may be some people who are not very confident in what they are saying, but then they possibly have a viewpoint. Isn't it your responsibility as a leader to listen to them, to understand their viewpoint, and possibly, if you think it is worthwhile, then do something about it. But that listening, and that willingness to be open to new ideas, and that the willingness to be challenged. I think these are some things that all of us face, whether it is as men or women actually. So I think that is something which possibly is the biggest challenge that we all of us have, and we need to see what we can do about it. Yeah. I used to have this wonderful client in the UK, and the group CEO, he and I, we would have some very interesting conversations. And at that time, my boss Chandra, I mean, he would come, and we would have these quarterlies and all that stuff. So our relationship was a little bit beyond just work actually, and so we would discuss. So he would always ask me about what's happening with our competitors, what's happening in the marketplace, how do you see technology evolving and all that. And it's it's a phenomenal opportunity for you to have those type of conversations. As interesting for me was, when he was talking of, he's also possibly one of those leading lights in the British this thing. So he was asking me about this, should countries have these mandatory I mean, places on the board and things like that. That happens. I mean, and I was telling him that look, in many countries you need it, because I mean, at that time India didn't even have POSH actually, so we would only have fight cases, using one of those precedents and all that. And when countries don't have it, then these seats on the board are what will actually bring about the change. But then when countries are evolved, possibly yes. And I would say at that time, there were very few countries in the world other than the Nordics, so where things were not moving very well for the women in senior levels and all that. So that was one, so having those type of conversations, and debating that. As interesting for me was, another client of mine said, look, one of my colleagues, she's starting off. So we are the cities, what it is called in the UK. And then just be around for her actually, talk to her. I said, sure, anytime. And also I just met with her and so on. But it was good, to interact with, women, not just in India, but, so, and my boss would pull my leg and say, Deepti, all the toughest women are your clients. I said, did you get them to be my clients because they were tough and women, or what was?
So globally, what was that common thread that ran through women? It didn't matter which country, but globally, what was the common thread that ran through women that
Sure,
you
hard work, and you would be amazed. Actually, in fact, one of my clients, she was my client way back in the 2003, 4, and all. I'm still in touch, but the way she keeps herself professionally updated, I mean, it's just an inspiration for me even now. So she she was quite senior to me at that time itself, and even at this age, the way she continuously upgrades her knowledge. I mean, I've seen many of them doing that actually. That is one common thread that you see. The other is a very deep sense of values actually, whether it in ironically or interesting, it was always the family values that were there, that were very strong, every one of us. As interesting was also a sense of wanting to give back to society. That was another very strong value system that you would see actually, and also a very strong work ethic actually, that do the best that you can. I mean, I'm not, when I say this, I'm saying it because I've tried to follow it as much as I could, but I've seen many other, they are successful in their own ways. They may not always be, CEOs, board members, whatever else. They may not be by designation, but you know, they are people who've been there, done that, who've done their best that they could, in whatever way they could do it actually. So yeah. So I've seen this across any geography that you talk of. So other inequalities in the world actually. So I mean, and look for them and see if you can do make a difference actually. So inequality can come in any form, shape, or size actually, and no, you can't say that you've dealt with it all. It will never happen, and um, there will be always some opportunity for you to
That's true. That's true.
to make a difference. So look for that if you can. So,
Yeah, very beautifully